research. So Tamara, welcome, and it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chu, and thanks, Giselle, for the behind the scenes help too. Let's see if I can advance. Not yet. Oh, there we go. So thanks again. I'm honored to share about our work, and I have loved hearing about everyone else's work as well. So thank you. First, let me introduce our incredible team. Everyone listed here's expertise has been invaluable, and everyone has contributed to our work and this presentation. But I want to give a special shout out to Josephine and Kaisha for their help crafting this slide deck. And I want to acknowledge and thank Nina, Denise, and Sherry for joining the webinar today. All of our work focused on the Queens Public Library's Facilities and Environmental Services, or FES department. FES is mostly custodians, but also maintainers, a small number of administrators, and a couple members of the library's leadership team. As a public library system, we take such pride in being safe, welcoming community centers, and we are these vibrant spaces because of our custodians. I'm grateful for their work every day and also for their participation in this study. I also want to express my gratitude to the ERC at the top of my talk for making this pilot possible. It has been such important and course shifting work. All right, some background. Queens is the second most populous county in New York State with about 2.4 million people. Like the makeup of our borough, no one racial or ethnic group predominates among our staff, which is just over 1,400 people. Custodians make up about 6% and maintainers about 1% of the library's total workforce. And we have 66 locations that receive more than 5 million customer visits annually. Our FES employees are exposed to higher hazard work, yet most of our current employee health and wellness efforts are directed towards librarians and customer service staff. We chose to center our FES workers for this pilot because we expect that their needs are currently less well met. This work has implications beyond QPL since our workers are likely representative of other public libraries, cultural institutions, and even other industries. This pilot allowed us to conduct a needs assessment to explore FES employees' perspectives, experiences, and challenges to occupational health, general health, and well-being to inform future programming and interventions. To conduct our needs assessment, first, an online survey that had already been piloted by 5 custodians was emailed to all 109 FES employees. The 55 people who completed it received a $25 Amazon gift card. The research team used the survey data to inform subsequent phases of the work and to recruit focus group and interview participants. Next, the library's Senior Manager of Organizational Assessment and I co-facilitated 3 two-hour focus groups to more deeply explore FES employees' workplace safety concerns, ways the library is currently ensuring safety, and supportive services. All participants received a $40 Amazon gift card. Josephine and I independently coded and analyzed. This information, along with the survey findings, was used to create the interview guide. Next, 2 research team members, Renee King and Eliana Sanchez, conducted 5 semi-structured, in-depth interviews to probe even deeper. The interviews were about an hour, and each participant received a $35 gift card. The respective interviewer and I each coded using the codes already identified through the focus groups, as well as new codes. Based on themes that emerged in focus groups and interviews, an in-person preliminary data dissemination meeting was added to our grant activities. All FES employees were invited by the research team to attend, and the photo on this slide is from that meeting. 55 of 109 FES employees completed the online survey. Most participants identified as male, 47% of respondents identified as Black/African American, and 31% identified as Hispanic/Latino. Most participants were either aged 45 to 64 or 30 to 44, and 40% of respondents reported that they have worked at QPL for more than 10 years. 80% of respondents rated their health as excellent, very good, or good. A third of participants reported high blood pressure, and 35% cited arthritis or other musculoskeletal disorders. 95% reported having a healthcare provider, and 82% reported they had a physical exam within the past year. When surveyed about their mental health, 26% reported feelings of depression in the last 2 weeks, and 41% reported feelings of anxiety. A little over half of participants felt their workplace was very safe, and 86% felt somewhat or very satisfied with the conditions of their work environments. Okay, now let's turn our attention to the focus groups and interviews. We identified 30 unique codes, which were broadened into 4 overarching and overlapping themes: health and safety matters, training, communication, and worker experience. In addition to custodians and FES administrators, we had intended to include perspectives of library maintainers. However, none volunteered to participate in the focus groups or interviews. Our research team derived this list of recommendations to address health and safety issues related to PPE and other equipment, hazard communication, general safety infrastructure, safety drills and evacuation procedures, storage, and tasks requiring additional support. There was a stark difference in how custodians compared to supervisors and administrators described their supply and equipment needs when asked about their health and safety concerns. 13 out of 16 participating custodians raised concerns, while no supervisors or administrators expressed that supplies or equipment were lacking or posed safety concerns. This discrepancy also underscores communication challenges that will be discussed later. Multiple participants also cited climbing ladders as a health and safety concern. Custodians expressed that they are alone for much of their shifts, which start at 6 a.m. One custodian explained, "Climbing those ladders outside in the weather by ourselves, if one of us falls, who are we going to call? We're not going to be able to reach anyone." 18 out of 21 interview and focus group participants expressed that the training they received was insufficient. Our research team developed this list of recommendations for hands-on, specialized training and enforcement of best practices, mentorship, expanded orientation, information sharing, and access to relevant certifications. Veteran custodians also expressed frustration about the relationship between unmet training needs and lowered standards of work. The lack of training also has health and safety ramifications. For example, a need for standardized snowblower-specific training came up in 3 of the 5 interviews and 1 of the focus groups. And our research team established this list of recommendations for improved communications. Participants shared inconsistent experiences related to communication and their understanding of policies, protocols, and the channels of communication to express support and information between supervisors, union representatives and leaders, and their fellow staff. One common theme was the lack of meetings, with 18 out of 21 participants reporting unmet need. Regarding larger departmental dynamics, participants reported tension between the library's custodial and maintenance arms of the department. They also raised issues related to the modes of communication used. For example, custodians are expected to communicate with supervisors via their own personal cell phones, and most group communication is via email, even though some custodians do not have access to a work computer, and they also do not receive formal training on how to access email. So again, our 4 themes are overlapping. And lastly, here are the recommendations for improving general worker experience. Participants disclose details surrounding their everyday experiences related to scheduling, coverage of other locations, incentives, recognition, and opportunities for career and personal growth. Generally, FBS employees want to be more recognized and respected for their contributions. Some of the other key issues that participants identified included high workload, undercompensation, low morale, and lack of opportunities to provide input. They also routinely handle complex and sensitive situations, including biohazardous materials and incidents involving animals or distressed individuals. After sharing these recommendations, FES leadership proposed that we first focus on training. In response, a meeting was held with various stakeholders from FES, Health and Safety, and our training and grants departments, and we decided to move forward with OSHA 10 training for custodians. An informal online survey was then sent to all custodians via email. 34 participated in the survey, responded directly to my email, or spoke with me in person after receiving the email. Of them, 32 were interested in OSHA 10 training, and 21 of them provided their names. Those 21 are now part of an OSHA 10 pilot cohort. We expect that through the same online platform, they will also be able to access OSHA 30 at no cost to them, as well as other job-related training on topics including, but not limited to HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. We are also seeking potential funding opportunities to continue to address other recommendations. And that brings us to the end of my presentation. These are my references. And thank you so much again for making this work possible. I'm grateful to the ERC, to our potential research team, and to our FES department. Thanks for your attention, and I welcome questions now or invite anyone to contact me outside of this symposium.